All right, and I am here with another one of my internet friends, people I've never met in real life before. It's a great way. I'm kicking off season two, um, and yeah, all these people are super talented and whatnot, and they're from all parts of the world. The last episode we were in Mexico, and now we're in UK, and that's super cool. And your voice is super cool. I love the accent. I'm here with Aaron Richardson of Lazyboyloops and Kiwi Records. And yeah, what's going on, man?
How's it going? Hello, I'm British.
No, I was just taken by surprise. I always love different walks of life and different twangs on voices and whatnot. It just took me by surprise. I love it.
Yeah, I don't have that like cliche British accent either. We're like more up north of the UK, so I don't have that like London twang that the cliche sort of British accent that everyone has on like films and stuff. Like when you got like big blockbuster movie and there's that one British guy that's just like, "Hello, mate, how you doing?" So that's not me.
Just like ripping it for no reason. Yeah. Like, people don't really talk like that at all. And I just think it's hilarious when people are like, "Whoa, you talk kind of normal." It's like, what the fuck? Like, I'm not over here going like, "Yeehaw," like, or whatever. I'm not even going like cheesesteaks or whatever, because that's what it is from my town.
Yeah, but cheesesteaks are killer.
Yeah, they are fucking great. So, where exactly are you from overseas? And
as I said, kind of right slap bang center in the UK. So you have states in the US, United States, obviously. In the United Kingdom, old Blighty, we have counties. We have regions, I guess, and we're the Midlands. But then those regions are then split into separate regions. So to then kind of narrow it down, I'm in the East Midlands. Either way, if you just kind of poke right in the middle of the UK, you'll probably be near me somewhere.
Nice. Cool. How do you like it over there? I've always been that's like the new American dream, is to fucking leave America and go to UK or some better country. So how you liking it over there?
It's fine. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have great things to say about this country. I'm not a big fan of England. I much prefer America. I've been a couple of times, and I would rather be there. Though with everything that's going on at the moment, I'd rather just be. I'm happy just being in our apartment at the moment. So.
Damn. Okay, well, I'll take that with a grain of salt for sure. Yeah. Next time I'm thinking about packing everything up and getting the fuck out. That's super sick. So I want to always touch on people's like musical starts and whatnot on the podcast, and like I see you started way back in 2002 picking up the bass guitar. So like bass is your first instrument?
Yep, definitely. Yeah, it was a weird one. I think it's mostly because so this is going even further back.
Yeah.
So when I was like 5, my cousin jumped on me and I split the ball of my elbow, and since then my left hand hasn't really been great. I don't know whether something happened because of that like injury or whatever. And I always knew that I was not able to do like chords and stuff properly on guitar. Like the really complex ones. I can do like E, F, E, B, A, but it's the ones where you've got like to bar the entire fretboard. I just can't do that because I can kind of really only use 3 fingers. Oh, so I was like, okay, so what's an easy way of doing that? And yeah, the bass.
Yeah, so, it's a lot more expressive. I
instantly just took up the bass and went from there.
That's sick, man. That's really cool. And so how old were you when you started picking up the bass?
I say 2002. That's just kind of just an estimate. I think I was maybe 12 or 13.
Nice. What were some of those like musical influences back then that were like making you be like, I want to fucking play music. Oh, I love this song. I want to learn this song. Like, what were some of those artists that were really inspiring you to start that adventure?
So, I guess for the most part, it was like alternative music, like metal, like punk and stuff like that. The first song I ever learned was, I think, I can't actually remember the track now. It's off of Green Day's Dookie album.
Oh, nice.
But it was one of those tracks that was the first bass song that I ever learned. It was maybe Welcome to Paradise, which, kind of thinking back, it was quite a complex bass line for
that's
a novice player.
Yeah, I was about to say, those are some fucking bass tracks. The Dookie record, at least. Fuck.
Yeah. I wasn't a fan of going in easy. Everyone's learned Seven Nation Army. That seems to be like the key bass line that everyone begins with. But I was like, nah, fuck that, I'm going for Green Day.
Thank God. Yeah, I definitely learned Seven Nation Army like later on in like my guitar things, because like I knew it was like fucking Smoke on the Water, but like easier. And I don't know, I just can't. I'm not a fan of that song. It's the same thing the whole time. That's a little annoying. But yeah, like I think the other day I was driving home, and like it was just on the radio, and I'm just like mindlessly listening, and then it's the first time I like shut off music and just was in silence for a while, because I was just like, I don't fucking need the Seven Nation Army playing in my head right now. It was just, I don't know, it was just a lot. It was just a lot. I'm sick of some songs. Because over here, we have like this radio station that plays like new songs that all sound the fucking same, like Imagine Dragons and all that shit, and then they'll throw in like
basically TikTok music.
Yeah, exactly. And then they'll throw in like fucking What's My Age Again and like American Idiot and all that stuff, and a bunch of other like stuff from 2000s. And it's just like a joke at this point, like these songs that they play a million times over. Like, do you guys have like radio stations like that over there that are just so oversaturatedly gross?
Yeah, I mean, we have, I think you guys have got Capital in the US. So we've got Capital Radio. We obviously have like the BBC radios as well. Like BBC Radio 1, that's like the main sort of popular radio station where you will just get all of the same like pop songs that are just playing over and over. Like I kind of wish that we lived in or had similar radio stations like the US, because you have like music for everything on your radios, whereas we're super limited for those sort of like niche, like we have like rock radio, but it's not really, and you can't really get it everywhere. So you kind of, if you want to just like throw on the radio and listen to something that you actually want to listen to, you have to kind of just settle with a bit of crap along with it.
I mean, honestly, that's here too. Like, if you listen to the radio here for like more than a week, you'd realize every station is just like 100-song playlist, and you're just like, they're playing this song again at the same time. It's like I'm driving to work at the same time, and they're playing In the Air Tonight, fucking Phil Collins again. It's like, again in the morning you're playing this song, really?
Yeah, we have a station that that has a no repeat guarantee, but we can't work out whether there's a limit on it, because there's only a finite number of songs that you can have a no repeat guarantee on. So we think maybe it's just maybe for the day, because I'm sure we've heard the same song been played twice. But it's a decent radio station if you kind of want a variety throughout the day.
That's funny. I've never heard a no repeat guarantee. That's pretty hot.
Yeah,
I gotta
I think
say
you
that
can
to my
actually listen
station.
to it as well. It's called Absolute Radio, and I'm pretty sure they have an online version.
I mean, like most radio stations
and
do.
They play a mix of everything.
Yeah, that's cool. Is it like independent artists and stuff too?
No, it's popular shit that was like popular from like the 80s through to like now.
Okay. Holy shit! Did I just see a fucking Korn tattoo on you, my dude? That is awesome.
They are my all-time favorite band. Like
awesome.
that was the next thing I was going to go into when you're like, oh, like influences and stuff. Like Fieldy from Korn was a huge like bass influence. Like he stood out to me as someone that was incredibly like unique with what he does. Like I know shit tons of just dumb trivia about that band. Like how Fieldy got his nickname, how Fieldy started playing the bass because he couldn't play guitar, and Head said, "You were shit on guitar. How about you try the bass?"
That's fucking funny. I never knew that.
Yeah, I mean, they started like Korn's origins started in a band called LAPD, which was essentially Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Wow, really?
Yeah, and
It
that's
was
kind
more
of
like-
where Fieldy started doing more like slap stuff because of like Flea. And then it kind of just spiraled into, they morphed into Korn. I think it was Monkey, Fieldy, and yeah, it was just Monkey and Fieldy actually. I don't think anyone else was in that band yet. And then they got Head and Jonathan, and then David, who at the time was like 14.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, I could just realize, I don't know why, this is just going to turn into like a Korn podcast.
I fucking love Korn. A few, like, I don't know, maybe one of my friends or whoever listens likes Korn. But shit, man, I love Korn. That was my childhood as well. Like, I got all mixed up for like a birthday, and I was like, oh my god, this is fucking amazing. Like, that was like one of the earliest like birthday CDs I got was fucking. It was because it was like, yo, they got the Christmas song on this one.
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, Christmas.
Yeah.
Fucking Jingle Ball or whatever. Oh, that was sick, man. Oh, that's a really cool tattoo, though. Fuck.
Yeah, I even
just,
have like Korn on my back somewhere as well. Yeah, Life is Peachy is like my favorite all-time album. Like hands down, it's the best Korn album. Like,
that's got some sick tracks on it. That like, which one's what? Is that the one with Y'all Want a Single?
No, that's
something
Take a
like
Look in the Mirror.
Oh, okay.
Life is Peachy.
I always
has,
mix those up.
The main single from that I think is Adidas.
Yes, okay, it's that one. It's been a while since I dove through my iPod Classic, checking out all the Korn stuff. That's cool, man. Shit.
Yeah, I think like stuff like that is the reason why, I guess for me personally with my own music, is to try and be more unique, because you know that was a big thing for Korn. Like one of my major influences for music like everywhere is that they kind of pioneered this new genre. They brought 7-string guitars to the mainstream. Fieldy's bass stood out. I think there was a quote from Burton C. Bell from Fear Factory who said that it was either him or it was Rob Flynn from Machine Head who had said something like he thought Fieldy's bass was actually the drums or something like that. And yeah, it's just bringing that kind of percussion to the bass has always been, and that was like when I was auditioning for bands and stuff, like way back when I was like fiddling with the amp to try and get that crunchy, like loud clacky tone from the bass.
Yeah, holy shit, that's so
like
funny.
My bass playing now, I play so heavy, which for the type of music that I create now, it's really difficult, and I have to really bring myself back to play like a lot more softer, because I've always just been trained to like really just hammer the bass with my fingers to just get that like clunk clunk sound.
Like, what would you have to do to get that? Was it like all of the action or whatnot? Like how did you achieve the clinking sound?
Just like
I thought that too as a kid, that it was part of the fucking drums, like
yeah. Well, I mean, Fieldy's very like slaps a lot, but for me it was like it's literally just really heavily just like really hitting the bass hard with the fingers. I was gonna be slightly like suggestive and be like, oh, it's just the way that I finger the bass, but I didn't know whether you wanted that on your show, so
oh, I don't give a shit. Oh yeah, it's fine. I don't do any editing or cutting unless someone like says some fucked up shit. That's about it.
But yeah, no, it's just really just playing really hard, with my right hand, and then like the slapping and stuff as well. I don't really do a lot of slapping because there's so many technical levels to slap bass. Like people just think it's like going like bang ding ba ding ba ding, and it's like, yeah, in some cases it is, but like there's the double slap, which like Victor Wooten pioneered, that I can't do, which is where you hit down with your thumb and then you pluck on the way back up.
Oh yeah, my
So like you go down and then you introduce like plucking with your fingers into that as well. And there's some people that can like they hit down up with their thumb and then with the fingers as well. So you can get this like not quadruplet, but yeah. There's a band called the Omnific, I think, or Omnerific, which is 2 bass players, but it just sounds like it's almost like Animals as Leaders, but rather than 8 and 9-string guitars, it's 5-string basses.
Okay, shit, that's really crazy.
Yeah.
I've never yeah, shit. I've never fucked around with bass that much, but to hear someone like give the actual explanation of like the slapping technique is pretty crazy. I had a friend from high school who could like he was like a bass prodigy and like I could never like even follow or like play along with half of the bass songs he would learn because it would be like some Victor Wooten shit and like that was the only other time I saw someone able to do the
Yeah.
oh, it was so insane. That's like the craziest bass technique, and that's fucking cool. How you're like overcoming some kind of like handicap almost on your fingers to do such cool shit on bass. But honestly, I never thought we
Yeah.
would be talking about corn and slapping bass on the podcast after hearing the latest shit from you, man. God damn it. So like,
I think that's kind of what I do. Well, I mean, first of all, like, I definitely don't feel like I fit within the lo-fi chill hop genre. Like, I'm hugely into alternative. Like, well, I'm one of those people that's so fucking cliche. That's like, oh, I'm into all types of music, but I am. You know, I'll be listening to like Taylor Swift 1 minute, who is fantastic, and then Fear Factory, and then like Korn, and then like MF Doom, Jay Dilla, Wu-Tang Clan. Like, I sound so douchey saying this, but I have like such an eclectic taste, and I feel like in a way I try and channel that into my music, and I don't look at the things that I make in such a linear way. And yeah, I kind of try and make it different, but at the same time, that brings this imposter syndrome of feeling like I don't necessarily fit in.
well, it definitely is a weird box to create music in. This like lo-fi chill hop nonsense.
Yeah.
And I feel it certainly is a box. And I've been talking about this a few times on the podcast about just like how you can basically do anything as long as it has these parameters, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
whether it comes to sampling or you're writing your own shit, using synths, using guitars, it has to have this like fucking muffled in a, I can't even preface it anymore. Like, it's a weird sound. Like, how could you describe that even? Like,
Christ. I mean, it describes it in the genre that it's coined itself, which is lo-fi. It's like you don't really need to know audio engineering. You can slap some sounds together, stick a vinyl crackle.wav over the top, and boom, you've got lo-fi. And I hate kind of generalizing it like that, but with the kind of rate that it's going so far, like at the moment, I kind of feel like that is what it is. And like you'll see on my Twitter, I'm quite outspoken with the way that this particular community is going, and I think there's a lot of people like coming and cashing in on it at the moment because, I mean, let's be real. If you have a Splice account, you can fart out a 10-track album in an hour. There's high quality samples that you can get now that have that kind of lo-fi aesthetic, and you can kind of just plug them together and
not to mention,
create.
if you have like a producer brain, you can like just sample shift them and all that shit, and it's like, wow, it sounds a little bit different enough to where people aren't going to bat an eye immediately, but it's still just duplicating and copy and pasting. Totally feel that.
I mean, there is this whole kind of wave of what people are calling like splice wave producers. And I don't want to throw it like sling shit on your podcast, but I mean, there are people that are making bank from, just reusing the same old sample and just sticking a drum loop over the top and calling it a day. And that's fine. If you do you, create, make bank and whatever. But it kind of sucks for those of us that kind of really put a lot of time into what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And, really try and create something unique within this box. And I think that's, in a way, will be what will either steer people away from the genre to kind of look elsewhere and kind of expand it in a way. So rather than it just being like lo-fi bedroom beats, it becomes, people experiment more with vocalists and stuff, and then it becomes more sort of like bedroom pop, or they experiment with different, like if you're sampling rather than just looking at, hold on, sorry about that. You know, rather than looking at the same sort of, I guess, Bill Evans beat, you know, track and just sampling from that.
Yeah.
People are looking, you know, maybe towards funk and soul and, you know, maybe even like classical to try and find those really unique sort of samples and sounds.
Yeah, I
so
definitely
in a way, it's
see
kind of
that
a blessing and a
happening.
curse.
Yeah, I definitely see that happening with the artists. Like artists getting sick of like competing with these like generators of tunes that are getting like on Lush Lo-Fi. Like, let's not even like talk about that fucking shit show about the fucking Spotify playlist garbage. But like I definitely see that and feel that happening of like people that like either started music making lo-fi or like was really gung-ho about making their project lo-fi, and then like now like it only takes a few steps, like you said, to like add a vocalist. Now it's just lo-fi with a feature, and that could turn into bedroom pop with just a few more elements. Hell, throw live drums in there, that's a fucking indie tune, and there you go, you're in a whole nother fucking area, and it's a lot different and better, and you can have like a totally organic thing. And I see, and you can take it other ways, like you could go heavy sampling and manipulation and take a step into like the vapor direction and ambient even, and I see that happening. And it's but like I think there is hope, like there is a solution, because like you said, it is completely oversaturated and whatnot, but I see it as an opportunity to, like, because you run a really awesome label, like all the releases on that are super cool, and there's a lot of shit you guys do for your artists and stuff, which I think is awesome, and always appreciate like I look for that anymore. Like I don't give a fuck about getting Spotify editorialed anymore, for lo-fi at least, because I know it's trash and all that nonsense. And I also know like not like 80% of lo-fi playlists are garbage anyway, like made by people. There's only that few people that like give a shit, listen to the tunes. And the bigger thing I'm like more all about is people that say no. Like when I send them a track and they're like, this ain't it, I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, and they'll tell you why. Like big person I'm thinking of is Colors in the Dark. Like what an upstanding citizen for lo-fi, can I just say? Because their playlist is incredible, and I've never like met a more picky person in a great way for their playlist. And that's, I feel like, the future and how we can come out of this apocalyptic oversaturation of the genre. If people ever give a shit about it and want it to be this organic thing where people care about, oh, I spent fucking 6 months writing these 5 songs, and it doesn't get as much as the 2 splice sample guy over there, like whatever, but like you know what I mean? Like people can notice that more. Be the people that are like, oh, this took time, there's a lot of fucking things going on here, and it's obviously not a 2 sample thing, blah 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 blah. I feel like it's up to like people like us who curate stuff on our own and are like talking about it out loud on Twitter and out loud everywhere. It's like, why are we being quiet about it? That we won't get playlisted by the gods anymore? Like, what the fuck? Like, what are we scared of, you know?
Well, yeah. Well, this is the thing, like, what I found a lot of producers, I guess new producers that come in, and this is something that I've kind of found through the various Discord channels that I'm in and whatever, and just seeing all these, like, new guys and girls come along, and they're kind of, they have that dream in their eyes. You know, they think, oh, I can make this music, get playlists, you know, make money, blah, 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 like get loads of fans. No, that's not going to happen. Like lo-fi, for the most part, is an incredibly passive genre. People are looking for playlists that fit a certain mood. They don't care who's on it. If it's a sleepy playlist, they could not care less whether it's 15 minutes, 2 hours, or 36 hours. As long as they can throw it on and go to sleep to it, they don't care. That's all they want. They want that mood.
Work,
they want
whatever,
you know, they want upbeat. They'll find an upbeat playlist. They want sleepy. They want you know, it's moods, and playlists are so passive, and I hate kind of saying this because it is so defeatist, but nobody cares about us as an artist. And I'm not being all like, woe is me. It's just simple fact. People aren't going to, Spotify's lo-fi editorials and finding all of those artists and following them and finding their social medias and stuff like that, because they don't care. They're throwing it on to work. They're throwing it on to study. They're throwing it on to sleep. Unless there's something that you are doing to completely stand out from the crowd, whether that's creating something of value on like TikTok, Instagram, or Twitter, or it's like social media, or like YouTube and stuff like that, or really trying to create something that's of value with the sound that you're making, so they can listen to something and be like, oh, holy shit, that was actually really fucking good. Like, who is that? Then people aren't going to care. And that's something I found with, because I follow a ton of like playlists as well. I mean, I don't know whether you've established from us talking so far, but I listen to a lot of music, and there was one playlist that I throw on that was kind of like prog, jazz, rock type. It was just a mixture of like math rock and all that sort of stuff. And there was this one track that kept coming on, which was kind of like a Japanese math rock track, but they had a flautist or flute player essentially. And every time that track came on, I was like, it's this song again. Like, there's a flute in a math rock, like Japanese math rock track. Like, what the fuck? And they've since become, they're called Jocho, and they're since become one of my favorite bands purely because they have a flute player. And that's what you kind of need to do in this genre. You need to create something that's so unique that it gets people wanting to know who you are every time they hear your song or your EP or something like that. As much as it's like a load of fun to dig through samples and stuff and find something really unique and sample it and create that sort of study bedroom beat type thing, it does all sound the same. And that that's me just coming from I'm aware that that's what it is. I'm aware that it's really passive, and that's the genre that I've chose to work in, and I'm cool with that. It's something that I enjoy making. It's something that I enjoy putting out into the world. And in a way, I'm trying my best to create that sort of unique thing. Like my last EP that I launched, the Grown Up EP, that whole thing was conceptualized around nostalgia. And every track is named after two of my favorite like TV shows. So we've got like Sabrina Explains It All, which is Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and Clarissa Explains It All. Angry Beavers and Butthead, which is Angry Beavers, Beavis and Butthead, and in each of the tracks there's a sample from each of those shows in there as well. So that was like that concept, and then how do I make it visually appealing without kind of getting in trouble by using those samples in those videos. And I went, like, we got the album cover, and it had a hot air balloon with a smiley face on it, and I was like, do you know what would be cool if we got like smiley face balloons and just did something with that? So we created all of visuals around these balloons. It was like kind of a semi-okay day in the UK. Like, we had blue skies. And I was just in my back garden lying on the floor taking pictures of these balloons that I'd inflated with helium, and taking videos, and just to try and get that original sort of stuff, so that when people saw me promoting that, they could see, oh, it's the smiley face balloons. That must be Lazyboyloops' upcoming EP. And it's one of the things that I've been incredibly proud of that I've created, and I kind of hope that was seen by people that saw it and heard it as well. And yeah, I kind of think that's what people need to start doing.
Yeah, that's really sick. And that's a great way to put it in a bunch of ways, of like having that. Yeah, you said a lot of shit. Give me a second. Because you were saying like about like musically having that thing that fucking stands out. That's exactly what I look for in music. Like, I feel like I was such a picky bitch with music, and I'm even more super picky now, because like I'm making some playlists and I'm trying to curate like vibes for each one, and like I have the idea in my head of like what this should sound like, and then someone plays anything else and I'm just like, no, like immediately with 5 seconds in. But like,
yeah,
I do always look for that wow factor, and like, because I always think like music is default already. Like music exists in almost every flavor already. So I feel like as an artist, you need to accept that and like come to terms with like like it is already there and you could never do it and everyone would be just fine without you.
Yeah.
And so like I always kind of go for that in a sense of like, okay, well, music exists. Where should I like jump in to these pools? You know, I feel like you have to like pick a lane at some point if you want it to be anything. And then there's I didn't pick a lane and I'm trying whatever. That's a fucking lane way over there. It's called experimental and weird and no one fucking listens to it. And like I've tried all the fucking genres and I've never been more passively listening to something. Like even ambient music, like I'll be really like just passively listening to it go throughout my day. But if I'm like resonating with that moment, I'll be like, oh shit, who is this? Oh, this is crazy. I need to check out the rest of this album. The tonality is insane, blah 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 blah. It's totally otherworldly. But like when I throw on a lo-fi playlist, it's really just like vibe and like yes or no. Like it's so like I don't give a shit and I make a lot of lo-fi. So like why would anyone else give a shit? And so I don't know, like I totally feel you. Like it takes so much of a spark for me to be like, whoa, who's this beat by? You know?
Yeah.
And definitely having that visual is everything.
And I think as well when you're creating something, it's hard, especially when I've got like I guess a general playlist that I put. It's just a mixture of everything. It's my Lo-Fi to Eat Cake to playlist. It's a stupid name. I wanted it to stand out. It makes no sense. Anyway,
I love that playlist. I remember that shit.
Where I kind of, if it doesn't really fit the upbeat vibe mood or the sleepy or like sad playlist that I've got, you know, it will go on there if I like it. And I found that depending on how I'm feeling in myself, like week per week, I will sometimes be super picky. Other times I'll be like, yeah, this is a vibe, and I'll throw it on there. Other times I just won't get on with anything, and I'm just like, oh, this is so weird, and I feel so bad like rejecting people. But at the same time, like I know I can't accept everybody, but it's just so weird that 1 minute I'm like loving everything, and then the next week I'll just be like, no, that's trash. That's well, not trash. I don't want to say trash. Everyone's work's great, but yeah, it just at that point in time, I'm just like, no, this doesn't really fit. I'm not feeling this. I'm not feeling this.
Oh yeah, I totally feel that.
No, let's be honest. Sometimes you do get some trash. Like people don't read things, and they will just send you like their rap track, and it's like, no, I'm not into that, like trash. Go
Why
away.
is that such a thing? Like I have a playlist. It's all caps, deep sleep. And you're sending me your hype ass trap music. Come on, guys. Like, just it's in the title. Like, what?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
This goes with that kind of guerrilla marketing type thing where people are just seeing like submissions open and they're just fucking slinging their shit everywhere. And it's like, cool, you know, you respect the hustle. Like you're just going there spamming your link to everybody, but it's gonna do you no favors. And you know that's in a way and one of the reasons why, you know, we started Kiwi Bear Records. It's kind of to help out artists mostly, and you know, artists when they jump on labels, there are some great labels, don't get me wrong, but there are also some labels that, in my opinion, are just trying to cash in on the lo-fi genre. Like they don't give a shit. They'll take your track, they'll throw it on a playlist, they'll call it a day. And that's not what we're about. You know, I'm gonna totally toot our horn here. You know, we actually care about the music that we're putting out there. And you know, we like the music that we're putting out there. You know, we wouldn't put it out there if we didn't like it. And that's kind of where I feel like we are like miles ahead of a lot of these labels. Yeah, all right, some do like have a strict like vibe and they do reject you, but even when they accept you, I kind of don't feel like they love you per se or love the music that you've sent them. It's like, yeah, this is chill, you know, I'll put it out there, put it on my playlist, cool. Here's a promo post on Instagram. But you know, we really try our hardest to make sure that the artist knows what's happening with their release, because at the end of the day, they've spent time to create that piece of music. And who would we be if we you know, if we just took that and just threw it out there and didn't really tell the artist what they were doing? And this is something that I found with some labels that we've released with, is that you'll give them like your master and whatever, and they'll take it and they'll say, okay, cool, it's releasing on this date. And then you won't hear anything for like weeks or months, depending on how far it's been scheduled out. And you kind of just sitting there like, okay, so do I have artwork? If so, like, what is it? Do I have any promo materials that you're making me? If so, like, can I get them so I can start, you know, hyping it up and driving those pre-sales and stuff?
It's totally, and like, you try to fucking reach out, and it's almost like they're like, you again. You know, it's very like not so, like, friendly or open.
Like, I've kind of taken that and just been like, look, how can we be as open and transparent as possible? And that's kind of something that we've done. Like, every artist that comes with us will know exactly what we're doing when we're doing it. And that's why at the moment we've kind of taken things slow. So we started accepting demos in April, and I think by late May, we'd already got booked up until late September, because we're kind of going slow and making sure that each of our releases have at least 2 weeks for us to not only create assets and get them up to date with everything that's going on, but also push that release out there. So, like, you know, I have my like playlist spreadsheet that we use on every single one of our releases to go to each one of those curators and say, hey, we've dropped a new track, do you want it on your playlist? Or submit through their tone den, submit through their submission form, send them emails, blah, 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 blah. All of that kind of work that I understand that not a lot of producers have the time to do, or even the confidence to do. A lot of them are like Instagram DMs, which I've heard from several like producers that they just don't feel comfortable blindly DMing people. In my sort of like normal life,
I total art to
I freelance at a marketing and PR company. And that's basically what I do. We cold email.
Yeah.
Like, we send out pictures. We, you know, we're emailing journalists every day to get them to talk about our products and stuff like that. So, you know, I kind of bring that, and I'm like, we're used to just blindly messaging people and trying to get them interested in the thing that we're putting out there. And yeah, that's hopefully where we bring those strengths.
That's really great. And yeah, I understand. That's like the whole art of cold emails and cold DMs. Like, that's like the future, because it used to be cold emails. Now it's kind of cold DMing.
Yeah.
Because like I heard from a couple people, like, you can't, like, it's better to not start with a link at all. You know, it's more of like, hey, are you guys accepting submissions? Can I send you something? Is typically how it works, right? I imagine so. Like, what would you if you dare to share any tips for people trying to do
more
a
than happy to share. You've pretty much hit the nail on the head. If you start spamming links around, people aren't going to care. In a way, you need to give people a reason to check your music out. So if let's say you find a curator that you really like their playlist, you listen. The keen thing that I always say is to listen through to the playlist that you're pitching to, because if you've got like an upbeat summary lo-fi track and you're sending it to a curator that does sleepy, they're not going to care. You're wasting your time, and in a sense, you're kind of damaging that relationship already. So always listen to the playlist that you're going to pitch to, even if it's just skipping through 5 or 6 tracks just to kind of just get the general mood, and then just be friendly. Don't go and be like, oh, here's my track, I want to submit it to your playlist. Just be like, hey, how's it going? Really like your playlist. Are you taking submissions at the moment? And like, not to kind of be fake, but at least show some interest in the person that's behind that playlist, because even though a lot of us do it because we enjoy sharing new music and curating a playlist to certain moods and stuff, we're all still humans at the end of the day. And you know, I've been guilty of doing that, just like spamming a link and not thinking anything of it. And for the most part, none of that ever really works. It's when you start engaging more with curators and treating them like humans.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the best thing I can say.
That's always gotten me the farthest in any of this, whether it be from linking up with people like you or like Colors in the Dark, because like that was just like hey, I'm gonna start talking to this dude. And now like in the Discord, and like you can have like, we have email chains talking about stuff, and it's really awesome when you can be a person to someone, because exactly, they're people too at the end of the day, and like they're always probably pushing something of their own, and if you support them, they will support you. Like that's
exactly.
Most of the time, if you're talking to them, but if they could give a shit, there's a lot of faceless things out there, if you ask me, like, or at least people that just like will never ever get back to you. Like anyone with the chilled in front of it typically will never ever get back to you. Chilled, insert the animal of your choice, will never ever get back to you. Or like chill hop anything probably never will get back to you. At least that's in my opinion. I've never gotten any success with anything that like looks lo-fi official. It's always like the cool third party people.
I mean, I guess like chill hop and lo-fi girl, as they're now called, they've kind of developed their own ecosystem of artists and music that they're putting out there, which is cool, but in a way it's also kind of gatekeepy. And it depends how much you actually want to go into that here, but it's one of those things where you kind of need to know somebody to get a part of that.
Yeah.
Which again is fine, because they're curating this sound through the music that they release. And it's difficult to get into and to be a part of, but in a way that's for good reason, because they've developed these brands based on that type of music. You've got your chill hop seasons that they release, like for winter, summer, spring, blah blah blah. That you get very specific sounds from that, and you can always kind of tell from the artists that, especially with chill hop, that it's a lot more insanely talented people. Like Brock Berringen and Stan Forby. Like, they're two incredible producers that are my personal inspirations, because again, they bring something more unique to the whole sort of genre. And whether that's because they've helped pioneer it, because they've been there for a while, whether because they're shaping that. But it just is that way, which is a shame, but it just is what it is.
It definitely is high quality. Like, there's no doubt. Like, if you go and listen to a chill hop, or what was I just seeing? That's just so top quality. The Cozy Winter by Chilled Cow, I think. That is so great. Like, I use that as like a reference for stuff I send around for like sleepy stuff, because you listen to that and then you listen to fucking Lush Lo-Fi, it's like cheeseburgers compared to like beautifully filleted steak or some shit. Like the Chill Cow stuff is just so next level. Like how they do things. Like, it's really, really interesting, like tonality wise, and like as a producer who's like made almost every weird electronic sound, these are like such a cool hybrid sounding tunes, because it's like a pad and electric piano and a grand piano, like all at the same time. Like, I feel like it's the main instrument for all these emotionally seasonal songs, like, you kind of get what I'm saying? Like, what is that instrument? I gotta figure it out. Whatever combo instrument that is that everyone's using. It sounds so fucking good. Oh, yeah. Do you have any secret weapons you use in your music? Like, when you did your last EP, it's super cohesive. I love the sound of it. Like, your recent stuff is extremely cohesive. And it's all like, that sounds like new Lazyboyloops shit. Like, kind of pick out of a crowd almost. At least to me, because I've heard it a few times now.
I guess for me, my secret weapon's my bass. Every track at the moment, I've always got my own bass on there. It's my own bass playing. Apart from one, which at the moment, it's based off a bass line that I played, but I needed the sound of an upright. and I don't have an upright. So I took it, transposed it, turned it into MIDI, boom, upright bass. But as well, this particular one that I used had those kind of flary extras. So there was a specific MIDI note which was like tapping the strings to mute them. So this is what I love about bass. You can create so many different textures from bass. Whether it's the way that you play a string, whether it's the way that you mute it, whether you pluck or finger or pick strings. And with this particular one, I made sure that it had the sound of fingers moving up strings. It had the tapping of the mute, and just those extra textures that made it sound more like a genuine bass than just a whether it's like a sub or just a MIDI'd bass. And that's the only one, but the rest of them, it's all my bass.
Nice. That's really, like, I love having like the organicness of like your actual fingers on the track. Always there's something completely different about always playing it. Do you listen to Baths at all? Were you ever a fan of Baths?
To what, sorry?
Baths, the artist Bath.
No.
Baths. Like their first record was super cool because they have it was all glitchy shit. They like used like hitting tables and anything to like make all these amazingly textured beats. That like was a huge inspiration for me. But if you're in a bass, you should totally check out it was like the single off their album Lovely Blood Flow, and it's like these bass harmonics in the background and it sounds like a harp. It's so fucking cool. It's like, oh yeah, like they do a bunch of crazy shit on guitar and bass, you name it, and I think they'd be a huge bop for you. You definitely, I'll send you the link later. Fuck, man. What are you listening to now? You always have those cool big like what I'm listening to boxes you post on Twitter, which is like goes back that's based off my Last FM.
So it depends really. I mean, at the moment I'm really into Tyler the Creator's new album. He's just an incredible producer. I don't care that people think that he's fallen off. It's fine, he makes great music. Today I guess I was listening to mostly a daily mix that had more sort of like industrial type stuff, like Fear Factory, Mudvayne, Tool, Soulfly, Love and Death. If you like Korn, have you heard Head's, I guess, side project?
I never heard Head's side project. No, I thought it was just called Head.
Listen to Love and Death.
Okay, didn't he just have a project called Head as well?
What was that?
Didn't he have a project just called Head as well?
Yeah, so that's how it started. So when he left Korn to find God, that typical thing that a lot of heavy musicians do. So he went and did his own solo album, which was under Brian Head Welch, and then he moved to essentially got a band together at the time called Love and Death, and they released their debut album like way back when. And I will always say this: Head is essentially Korn's sound. So if you love like the original Korn sound, then that's pretty much what Head brings. Because if you listen to anything that Korn threw out from after Take a Look in the Mirror all the way up to Paradigm Shift, I think that's mostly Monkey on guitar, and he has a fine guitar style. Again, we've moved on to Korn. I can't believe we've done this. But he has a very defined sound, which again you can hear in Monkey's side project, which was called Fear in the Nervous System. And yeah, it's not great. Like, I don't really enjoy those particular albums. They've got like Untitled and See You on the Other Side and Korn 3, which was them trying to get back to their original sound, which it just didn't work. But as soon as Head came back, it was like, yeah, this is Korn again. Their last album, great. But yeah,
really?
Love and Death. Yeah, Head's first side project. Love and Death's first album, which is, I can't remember what it's called. Between Here and Lost. That's mostly like Head's influence. But then latest album that came out, I think a couple of months ago, is a guy called, I can't remember his name. I think it's like JC or JD or something like that. He's now kind of you can tell that he's stepping away from that. Like, he still features on it and he still sings, but you can tell that it's more the other guy's influence. They actually do a cover of a Justin Bieber song, which is really good.
Nice.
But yeah, if you haven't heard it, listen to Love and Death.
These are things I really needed to hear, because fucking I was a huge Korn fan, and then like I remember having the Guitar World magazine where it's like Korn has like head is left Korn and all that shit, and like talks about all the fucking new stuff he's doing. But and then I heard about like Brian Head Walsh, like that was the first thing he did right after he left.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is pretty cool. Not really all there. Can't really pirate this easily. So I didn't really listen to it too much. But fuck, that's so cool. Like this Love and Death looks amazing. And like I fell off of Korn after Evolution. I heard Evolution and was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. I'm done with this band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they did a dubstep album.
Why?
That's a stain on the history books, eh? What was that? The Path to Totality. That album was... See, no, actually, I'm not going to say it's trash. The Korn's dubstep album's actually... It's got some bops. Like, nice. It's Korn and Skrillex. It's pretty good.
Oh,
if
shit.
If you just don't think that it's Korn. But
just think it's Jonathan Davis.
Sorry?
I would just be like, it's just Jonathan Davis. Yeah, and Skrillex, really.
I mean, it was pretty much just Jonathan Davis influences. Because I think I remember reading that when Head came back, he was like, I'll come back into the band, but only if you stop that electronic shit.
Nice. That's amazing. That is amazing. Oh, man. Yeah. And, like, I heard the new Korn, like, the latest Korn signal, like, when it first came out. What's the new album? The Nothing? Is that the one with
Nothing, yeah.
Shit, man, this really divulged into a fucking Korn podcast. I don't give a fuck. I'm all about this. I'm gonna dive back in like to this shit once this is over. Real shit. I got some good dinner cooking music. But
no, like I think, and this is more going at, let's bring it back to music. It's still Korn based. Let's bring it back to music.
Okay, great.
They definitely need to stop. Like, as a diehard Korn fan, like they kind of need to call it quits now. Yeah, they're creating great music, but they've definitely become more of like one of those business bands, you know, like how Metallica have turned into, like it's not really Metallica anymore. It's just like some old dudes on stage like rocking out, which is cool. But it's not the same people that made like Injustice for All. And Fieldy's just left the band. I don't know if you've read that. He's struggling, so he's having a break. But last time the band members had a break, they never came back. So yeah, I don't know. It's just they've lost it. Like they did a live show during the pandemic, which was a couple of months back.
Korn or Metallica?
They did it on the pandemic. That's still going. Sorry,
Korn or Metallica?
Korn. Sorry, I'm back onto Korn. Korn did a live show, and again, it was cool, but it was fucking expensive to watch, and I almost kind of felt like not only was the video was pre-recorded. They did it at the Netflix theater that I think they've got in LA, where they did the Stranger Things theater, and not only did I find like the video was pre-recorded, but I'm pretty sure the sound was pre-recorded as well, and they were kind of just miming.
No way.
And yeah, and it's kind of like, look, you know, guys, just stop.
Yeah. Like, leave some room for like anyone else to do some shit like this. Like, you had your time in the sun more than most people get. You know, like you have so many hits. You had a song with Fred Durst and Ice Cube. Yeah. You got the trophies, man. Like you had a member leave and come back, and
two members.
Yeah, look at that shit. And you're pulling this. Come on, Korn.
Yeah. They've just got the bassist from Suicidal Tendencies to tour with them, and they're all coming tour.
Damn. Yeah, how is he gonna?
Which I didn't know, right? I didn't know that Thundercat used to be the bassist for Suicidal Tendencies.
Ooh, really?
Yeah.
I had no fucking clue. That's insane. I love
Another
Thundercat.
random basis fact for you.
I fucking love Thundercat. That's insane, dude.
Yeah.
God damn it. Well, what a fucking hard rocking podcast this has been.
See, that's the thing, like, music's so cool. Like, you can just go from one thing to another. Like, I know you kind of wanted to keep it lo-fi based, and
not really.
Yeah, lo-fi's cool and all, but let's talk about like a new metal band from the 90s.
Oh fuck yeah, dog. Like, I like wanted to talk about like the bullshit with you, because I feel like there was a lot of good juice to fucking squeeze out about the bullshit that's happening, but. Yeah, who gives a fuck about lo-fi, honestly?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
metal
I
is
can run
king.
through that shit quickly. Like, fuck, like, ask labels questions. I mean, this is the thing that I tweeted about like recently. Ask labels questions. There are so many fucking lo-fi labels coming up nowadays. They're not fucking labels. They're just someone that talks to Dashko or has a distributor, and they're going to put your music out there. We're entering digital distribution agreements. We're not getting signed. And regardless, that's just what you kind of need to pay attention to. But like, ask labels questions. What are they going to do with your track? Are they just going to throw it out to the world and put it on their lo-fi playlist? Great. If their lo-fi playlist brings you to thousands of plays, that's awesome if that's what you want. But if you're looking for something more than that, if you're looking for help with promotion, if you're looking for help with an electronic press kit, if you're looking to get coverage in blogs and magazines, which some may say is pointless in 2021 or 20 whatever we're in now. Some people still think we're in 2020. There's this whole conspiracy theory thing I've seen on TikTok. I could go into that. Sorry, it's another tangent. But yeah, just you need to ask questions. You need to see what people are doing with your music, because even though a lot of these labels aren't owning your masters, which is fantastic, you still fully have control. In a way, you kind of also don't, because you're at the mercy of these people that own these labels. And this is another thing I've noticed a lot recently. Some of these lo-fi labels have absolutely fucking monster playlists that can get you like 150k streams in a month. Like some of the artists that work with us, because when you release with us, we have a label account on Spotify for artists, so we get to see how our tracks performing on your Spotify profile, and we can also see the other tracks that have been released as well. We can't see all of the like juicy details, but we can still see all of that stuff. And I've seen that on some of these lo-fi labels that 150k in a month, which is great, but it doesn't translate. So there's one guy, he's released with this particular label 150k in a month, releases outside of this label, it barely gets 200. And I think the point that I was trying to make was
it's a sad reality.
Labels have these absolutely monster playlists. The only way that you can get on these playlists is if you release with them, and this is just payola playlists but with extra steps. Yes. Because they're taking your royalties.
So it's forever.
So even though you've got on these playlists, you're getting 150k streams a month, but they're also you're paying essentially to be on this playlist. Mm-hmm. And that might be cool, like you don't mind giving away 30, 40 or even 50% in some cases. But I guess if these labels were more community orientated, like you can help like spread that love. And this is one thing that I've always been a fan of, and it's community over competition. Like we're all creating music that we love. We're all creating very similar music that we love. We vibe off each other. We need to support each other more than just be angry at everybody, and that's a lot.
Or just a big competition.
Yeah, and I'd rather we all just kind of like worked together, and it was just a bigger community. Like there are some fantastic communities out there, don't get me wrong, but I mean it only takes you 10-15 minutes to find the toxicity that this genre can bring, especially on Twitter. Mm-hmm. And that kind of sucks.
It does suck, and it's a sad reality in most genres. Like you can find that literally anywhere.
Yeah.
And that's just why
I think I just want lo-fi to be like rainbows and butterflies. I don't want it to be, people that are listening to us are just wanting to chill. They don't want all this drama to be attached to it. It kind of taints the whole reason that we create this type of music, which is for people to kind of vibe out and chill out to. And yeah, I just kind of get really frustrated. And again, this is going back to the reason why I created this label, was to create more of a accepting and kind of upfront and transparent place for people to release their music and feel safe and looked after. We don't have a Discord. We don't have group chats unless it's a collaboration between two artists. And that's to avoid the toxicity that comes with like Discord channels or, collective group chats. I mean, I've been in a number of collective group chats that, some of them will be like dumb lads clubs, and it'll just have that kind of toxicity that comes with that. They'll be like gossiping and stuff like that. And, if you take part in it, that's cool. I'll hold my hands up and say, yes, I've taken part in some of that like stupid lo-fi drama. Sometimes you just can't escape it. Yeah. But that's kind of why I separate me personally from what we do with the label. And that's why when you communicate with us, it's us or we. I'm not talking as me, because it's me and my wife that run it at the end of the day. So, we don't want people to assume that it's just me and be like, oh, hey dude, hey bro. Well, no, because you could be talking to my wife. That gets a bit weird when you're like, hey bro, to my wife. Yeah. And yeah, we just want to create a place of like inclusivity and transparency, so that people know that when they come to us and they give us their music, that it gets the love that it deserves. And that's why we spend a lot of time making sure that, that they like the artwork, they like the assets that we create. They know that when we're going to be sharing all of their stuff. And, you've got a track coming out with us in the next month, I think, or the next month and a half. Yeah. And you'll get to see all of that and experience it for yourself.
Yeah, I'm very excited. And, yeah. So, and there's a little teaser at the end for you of, like, what's to fucking come between us. But I appreciate you really giving the lowdown on your label, and hopefully people will be checking out some of the releases and whatnot and how you guys do things in the future. Is there anything you want to touch on that are coming up soon that you want to sprinkle some promo on, talk about whatever the fuck's coming out?
Let's go. So, well, in June, I didn't have anything. I actually completely forgot about releasing music in June. So I was like, the whole of June kind of rushing to release stuff. One thing I always do is I forget I have compilation releases coming out. So actually this week I have 3 releases.
That's a shit ton. Here we go.
So yeah, today was the drop of On the Boardwalk, which is a compilation by I guess not even a collective. They're called Music That Moves, and it's just it's run by Azik. I think that's how you pronounce it. And it's a 29 track compilation that's kind of like summary stuff. Then tomorrow I have a drop with Lakeside Collective, which is, again, it's another compilation that's based off a beat battle that we did a couple of weeks back, and the guy really liked what we all come up with, and he was like, hell yeah, let's put this out there. And then Friday I have a single drop in with Smile For Me, which is a nice kind of chill, slightly orchestral track that's coming out.
Nice. Well, that's a shit ton of stuff, and I might drop this soon then, just so all that stuff is relevant when this comes out. Then, goddamn,
yeah.
I might drop it.
Oh yeah, of course. Back that week or whenever.
Yeah, like, that last week, that was fucking crazy. Yeah. Last week. Oh,
no, what's this? This is the second week of July. Yeah. So the second week of July, I had or have, depending on when this goes out.
Yeah, I think I'll put it out soon, just because I just did one with. Ozzy Desmaya's Dream. I can never fucking say that right. I laughed, like we cracked up on the podcast because I just butchered it 10 times on his podcast. So I'm debating. I'll just put his out a little later, I guess, because we got something coming out later this summer. But yeah, man, that's fucking sick. Where can people find your stuff?
Yeah, you can find me Lazyboyloops on pretty much every social media, and on Spotify and every other music streaming service. Just quickly, this is another thing for kind of new producers. Put your music everywhere. Don't just favor Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, blah, blah, blah. Just if you have the option to put your music out everywhere, put it out everywhere, because you never know, someone might use Yandex streaming service and absolutely love your stuff. They could become your next top fan. Anyway, so yeah, you can find me on every streaming service available everywhere. If we can put it out there, I will. As for our label, that's Kiwi Bear Records, kiwibearrecords.com, Kiwi Bear Records on Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah, and that's Lazyboyloops, all one word, super easy, pops right the fuck up whenever you search that shit by the time you get to the second L. So yeah, thanks so much for coming through, and
No worries.
we'll see y'all next time.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.